For those of you that are teaching reading and math grades 4 through 8, Algebra 1, and English 2, you will be completing the student growth section of the Common Unit Assessment Data Analysis. If you do not teach one of those subjects, then you do not have to complete this part. Our QISD goal here is 75% at expected or accelerated. That means that the percentage expected added to the percentage accelerated should reach 75%. To complete this, you're going to need the student scores report that you'll pull from Aware Eduforium, and the student growth form in Excel. If you do not have this form yet, please contact Kara Clark so that she can get it to you as soon as possible. I have already downloaded a sample of the student scores from my test and their growth expectations for this next year. So in this first section, you'll see the test data from the previous year and their expected growth for the next school year and their accelerated growth goal for the next school year. All we're going to be doing is comparing the percent score from the unit assessment to the expected growth goal and the accelerated growth goal. And then we're going to be color coding as needed. If you are not doing this on the computer and you want to do this on paper, you'll need to print out your student scores list and then take a blue highlighter and a green highlighter and do exactly as we're doing here. So looking at student A, they scored an 18% on their unit assessment. Looking up at their growth goals, they needed a 29 to meet expected growth and a 44 to meet accelerated growth. They did not meet either, meaning they did not score higher than either of those two, so this student does not get color-coded. Student B scored a 45. They needed a 33 to meet expected growth, so they have met expected growth, and then they needed a 48 to meet accelerated growth. They did not get the 48, they only got a 45, so we're going to be color-coding this student blue. Student C scored a 73. He needed a 48 to meet expected growth and a 63 to meet accelerated growth. He met both of those measures, so he's going to be highlighted green. Student D scored a 64. They needed a 48 or a 63. They met the 48 because they scored a 64, and they also met the 63 because they scored a 64. So this student is going to be highlighted green. Student E, 36%. They needed a 35 to meet the expected growth goal and a 50 to get the accelerated growth goal. So did not meet the accelerated growth goal, but met the expected growth goal. So they're going to be highlighted blue. Next thing we're going to do is we're just going to count how many blues, how many greens. We're going to start with the blues first because those are expected. There are 2. So where it says number expected, 2. Now I'm going to go back and count my greens. Again, I have 2, so I'm going to be recording 2. The next step is to calculate the percentages. It is important to note that not every student is going to have a growth measure. There will be some students coming in from homeschool who did not take a STAR test before in the previous year, so they will not have a growth measure. There will be some students who were absent that day and did not take the test, or took a STAR A last year and took a regular STAR this year. So they won't have a growth goal either. Those students will not be included in our total number of students. So when you see total students right here, it's not referring back to the 220 from earlier. It's referring to the number of students that have a growth goal. For us, in this scenario, it's 5 students. So when I'm calculating my percentages, I'm dividing by 5. So 2 divided by 5 is 40%. And I don't need to do the calculation again because I've already done it. It's the same, 2 and 2, so 40%. So, did I meet growth? The answer is yes, I met growth because 40 plus 40 equals 80%.